tone. Well, let's bring in the Hardball Roundtable. Matt Schlapp is chairman of the American Conservative Union. Maria Teresa Kumar is president and CEO of Voto Latino. And, of course, Eugene Scott is political reporter for the Washington Post. I want to hear all of you. What's your reaction to what I just said? Matt?
This is de rigueur in White Houses. When you have political appointees, and it's very important to know that the Attorney General, the Deputy Attorney General, and all the other political appointments at the Department of Justice report to the president. They work for the executive branch. There's not a fourth branch of government. There are three branches. And presidents do this all the time. Bobby Kennedy was loyal to John F. Kennedy. Matter of fact, presidents have picked people they're closely associated with as their AGs because it gets into very sensitive areas.
What about the FBI, the director and the deputy director? Should they be loyalists to the president, or should they be head of the National Police investigation? Should they be in charge of their job or loyal to him?
Well, you take an oath to the Constitution.
They have to investigate him. No, they have to investigate him in certain circumstances. Should they be loyal to him or to their job as investigators?
Everybody who works for the president takes an oath to the Constitution. So that's the #1 responsibility. If you're going to work for a president, though, it's perfectly appropriate in the personnel process and the interview process for those types of questions to be asked. And I guarantee you that every president or the people who work for those presidents ask some version of this question. Everyone.
But, Chris, I think the biggest difference here is
Maria,
that
your thoughts on that? I think times have changed.
I think the biggest difference here is that no, it has not, and that is the problem. I think the president keeps trying to basically change the line and try to identify what is right and what is wrong, and so we keep pushing that line along with us. Let's be clear. Comey, when he was asked those questions, he was not asking whether or not he wanted the job. He had the job, and the fact that he went after McCabe and then Rosenstein for these loyalties. Job as FBI is to be loyal to the office of the president, not the individual. And for him to ask those questions, that is why people are concerned, because it does look like it was during the investigation of whether or not there was interference by Russia, and it was during this thing this investigation that's ongoing that he asked these questions to ensure that if they were on his side, then they were basically going to allow to look the other way. Is there obstruction of justice? And it shows that he's not done it once, but he's done it with 3 times. So therefore, there is a pattern, and people should be concerned. And that is probably one of the reasons why Mueller keeps bringing people in.
Well, let me go to Gene, because we have a lot of evidence on this president going to people, the head of the FBI and deputies of the FBI, and not only asking for their voting records, or are they with them sort of psychologically in some way, but asking them, you know, are you going to let Michael Flynn off or not? I mean, he's not just asking generally if they're loyal. He wants them loyal in particular to his case, it seems. Your thoughts, Gene?
Yeah, and this is a problem that many voters have noted. Nearly 50% of American people, according to a Washington Post ABC poll, believe that Trump perhaps directly tried to obstruct justice regarding this investigation. And that it's in part because of questions like this. So whether or not people on the Trump train or his surrogates or people in the White House think this is acceptable, many of the American people are quite concerned. And that's something that you want to be mindful of when you're headed into midterms and you're trying to get people to stay with you and your party as you go into the next political cycle.
What do you make, Matt, of the president's right, as you see it under the Constitution as chief executive, to ask for help from these prosecutors in this case? Ask them to go easy on someone like Michael Flynn, or go easy on the president himself. Hey, give me a break here, buddy. Would that be okay under your theory of loyalty?
No, look, I think there's no question that you ought to be.
Would he be allowed to? Honestly, should the president be allowed to say to somebody who's supposed to be a prosecutor enforcing the law, a law enforcement official, hey, give me a break here. I picked you. Is that okay?
Well, if the president, I think the key here is that the president has not been under investigation, and that's what the FBI controversy was all about. Is there was constant reporting that the FBI was investigating Donald Trump, and he was getting increasingly concerned that nobody was clarifying the record. And I think it's a perfectly reasonable thing for a president to talk to one of his political appointees, even somebody at DOJ. And remember, FBI reports through the structure at DOJ and say, look, if I'm not under investigation, please clarify it. I think that's a perfectly acceptable thing.
Like, does he have a right to say, go easy on me, buddy?
He has a right to say you should follow the law, and I did follow the law. I mean, I don't know what these words are.
You're not answering my question.
None of us know what these words are.
Well, he asked you, did you vote for me?
I'm okay with that. By the way, let me just speak to that. Let me speak to that specifically, which is when a Republican is elected as president, it's perfectly appropriate for them to check to see what the politics are of the people who work for him. Now, President Trump has lots of Democrats working for him, including members of his family in the White House. And a president has every right to know what the political affiliation is of a political appointee. That is a canard.
during an investigation.
It does. Look, Chris, when they are getting picked, right?
Okay.
By the way, the president wasn't being investigated. Let's keep saying this. He's not being investigated.
I mean, I think the challenge with this president is that he's constantly showing that he has a sense of paranoia. He's constantly demonstrating that the only people that he wants close to him are folks that are able to show utmost loyalty. His company, the Trump administration, had less than 20 employees. Why? Because they want to make sure that they're strong and loyal to him, and that is a problem because he's not running a family business. He's running the United States of America.
I think the fact, Matt, that he says he wants Roy Cohn working for him at the Justice Department tells you all we need to know about how he wants for justice or not. Anyway, the roundtable's sticking with us.